Three, two, one. What's going on, everyone? You're watching Ash on Comics. My name is Ash, and it's another Storytime Live brought to you by Stellar Artois, the beer you drink with your pinky out, and Eric Breen. Eric Breen's in the house. How you doing, Eric?
I'm good, Ash. I see you figured keep your friends close and your enemies closer. So,
Well, it's apparently it's my birthday month, and you've decided to grace me with your presence on my channel, and for that, I am very thankful.
I'm happy to be here.
You sound happy to be here. What's
I'm
been going
still
on with you in
awake.
the world of comics?
I didn't get my DCs until about 6:30 tonight.
Oh, well, at least you
Picked them
got
up
them.
on the way out to picked them up on the way out to visit a friend who I haven't been out to his place in about 10 years, and that was fun. My two of my oldest friends, and all three of us have known each other through comics for 30 to 40 something years. So that was fun. Talking a little pulp, without the YouTube flavor.
Right?
Kicking it old school, I think the kids say, or they used to.
Yeah, they used to, and now the kids of those kids are like, yeah, that's old. That's no one talks
Like
like that.
if someone my age is using a phrase, chances are it's passed on.
Ed Brewer is number one today. Good to see you. I always like it when a fellow Pink Floyd fan is number one. And followed by second place is Lord. He usually shows up at the end of the stream, so it's kind of cool to see him. And Dave Asanowicz. There's a man that I don't get to see enough of. How you doing, Dave? Good to see you. Let's see who else has made it tonight. Dragon Majesty, Real Dr. Vankman is in the house. Like I said, it's my birthday month. I'm getting some extra love, I guess. Dragon Ball Talk. I think Dragon Ball Talk may have a channel. Dragon Ball, if you do, feel free to shout it out in the chat if you want to give yourself a little plug. Not that I have the biggest audience, but I like if anyone that wants to grace me with their eyeballs, I'll be happy to return the favor. Let's see, Zach Richmond is also here. Tahilum. I don't know if I'm seeing any other names. I haven't seen Melissa in a while. I hope she's doing okay. She used to be solid regular. Or maybe Texas Walker is back on. I know she was skipping my streams for Chuck Norris, but how can you blame her?
we're only doing this stream because Chuck Norris said we could. So, Venkman, is that better? Yeah, put in the chat if my mic is better now. I reset it.
You sound good to me. Let's see. Let's just catch up a little bit. Dr. Venkman's making some ramen. He's probably done with it by now. Let's see. He's telling me to hurry. Yeah, that ramen will get soggy if you let it sit too long. It'll just keep absorbing the liquid. So I could understand. He doesn't want to wait around too long. Let's see. Ash is gonna read Ultimate Spider-Man. You might want to dip out for an hour. Let the rest of us enjoy Bendis' sweet 100 issue run on Spider-Man. I am not going to be doing 100 issues. I'm doing the first 6 issues of Ultimate Spider-Man, which if I'm predicting correctly, being Bendis, it'll probably be about 1 issue's worth of story. I haven't read it before, so have you read Ultimate Spider-Man? Is this? I'm sure you've read Ultimate Spider-Man.
I did. The first, the problem I had when it first came out was the first couple issues. It had the same problem that the New 52 had, 12 years later, was they tried too hard to do shock and awe. Uncle Ben with the ponytail, smoking pot and all that kind of stuff. It's like they were trying to, look how edgy we are. And then once it found its footing, I thought it was actually, from about issue 7 on, I actually liked it.
Oh, so I happen to pick the 6 issues that people say, oh, well, Ash, you just didn't give it enough of a chance. That's going to be what's going to happen.
Again, like I said, it's, it was a bit of an adjustment. And to me, like I said, it almost felt like it was trying a little bit too hard,
right,
to separate itself from the original source material. But then again, like I said, I can't remember, honestly. It's been so long, I can't remember if how long Uncle Ben lasted in this series.
Well, the one thing that I can forgive it for is that Marvel, I think, sort of did right versus like the New 52 was. They said right from the get-go, hey, this is not the Marvel universe. This is the Ultimate Universe. Like, this is a separate, different continuity where we can reimagine all your favorite heroes. And this is why
and aunts and uncles.
That's why I didn't dip into it. Like, I was like, that's not for me. Like, I'm just like, I don't want that. I want the classic stuff. But at least they didn't just scrub the existing continuity and just be like, well, here's what it is now. You could stay with Amazing Spider-Man and the 616 if you wanted to, and you had choice. Which if New 52 had done that, I think if DC had said, here's going to be a handful of titles in the separate continuity that we're calling the New 52, I think it probably would have been better received. What do you think?
Well, I think, with New 52, there's a reason why they did what they did. Outside of Batman and Green Lantern, they were getting curb stomped by Marvel again. And, only this is one of those rare occasions where Marvel's creative output was on par with DC's instead of just, beating them into the ground because they could put Marvel on their covers and DC couldn't. And so, they said Batman and Green Lantern, we're going to pretty much leave alone. Everything else, we're going to completely, gut. And that's what they did. And that, again, took a lot of getting used to. And just like, once the New 52 found its footing, it ended up being better than people gave it credit for. Of course, I'm also looking at it through the lens of yesteryear. Because I remember I was one salty cracker when those came out, cracker being the food, and I dipped out of DC altogether about 6 months in, and didn't go back until about a year into Rebirth.
Right.
But I've gone back and read literally hundreds of New 52s, and I said I might have been a little hasty and completely throwing in the towel on it,
Mm-hmm.
but it's
Well,
and again,
go ahead.
no, go ahead.
Oh, I was just gonna point out, I know the New 52 gets a bad rap, and I haven't read much of it at all. But it's the same talent that's on Rebirth was in the New 52, right? Like Peter Tomasi's writing, you got Scott Snyder, James Tynion was, really really green under the collar, but he was doing stuff. Robert Venditti was doing stuff, Jeff Johns, a lot of the big talent at DC that keeps Grant Morrison was that made Rebirth so successful was writing New 52. Now, obviously, the direction that they were going was different. So even if the writing's good, if you hate the direction, it's probably still going to bother you. But I think it probably gets a worse rap than it probably deserves, just because of that reason.
Well, Superman notwithstanding, because it was a totally different presentation of that character. They started steering the characters in the direction that made the Rebirth transition a lot more seamless than it would have been. Like I said, if they'd stayed the way they were doing things at the beginning of New 52, Rebirth would have been a hell of an adjustment. But they kind of, as the years went on between 2012 and 2016, they were, on a lot of titles, they were kind of getting closer to the DC that we liked. And then, Rebirth kind of fine-tuned some things and brought Wally back, which I think my knock on New 52, to this day is there were a lot of characters that I liked that were just gone.
Yeah.
And, some of them are just now popping back up.
Well, that's a kind of you know what? As a relatively new DC fan, I think that's something I recognized right from the outset, that if you're a DC guy, you just have to accept it. DC's character roster is ridiculously huge. It is just bursting at the seams with billions of characters that they just can't do all these books. You can't cram these characters in, and I think it's kind of foolish to think that they should, and speaking as someone who's become a really big Hawkman fan now, I'm really sad to see that it ending, but Hawkman's probably a bigger character than 90% of these other characters, at least as far as tradition and history goes, not necessarily popularity. I mean, if I put Hawkman next to Harley Quinn's going to win all day long. But when it comes to like tradition of being an impact of the DC universe and a history, Hawkman is way bigger than Harley Quinn's little dent. But be that as it may, like even I realize that, maybe they don't have room for him all the time. I just, what do you think? Is there something to that? Like, or do we need to live in a world where everyone's upset because we don't have a Question book, and we don't have an Atom book, and we don't have a Hawkwoman book, and we don't have, a Blue Beetle and a Booster Gold book? And
well, no, we had all those. No, because there was the Savage Hawkman book that was part of the New 52 from its inception. But I'm talking like, the Stephanie Brown, Batgirl, Tim Drake, Wally West, the JSA. I mean, these aren't D-list throwaways. JSA was huge until the New 52, and it's like, where did they go? And so again, they that's a minor gripe, and now all those, most of those characters are back. I'm not sure about Stephanie Brown, but
speaking of being back, I hear their Damian Wayne is no longer going to be Robin.
That's what I heard.
What the hell is going on with these? And they're bringing back Tim Drake.
Yeah, I think since the one Bendis book that they did manage to Purge. Joshua Williamson's using Impulse in Flash right now. Tim Drake showed up in Nightwing yesterday. And I think the next plot line with Damian is I think he's gonna go be like a future Red Hood type character because he's completely disillusioned at this point. And what I'm hoping happens is when they finally get around to undoing the mess that Bendis has made with Jonathan Kent, that they find the real one that's still 10 or 11 years old by then, and he can come back in and become a someone who because he's the closest thing that Damian Wayne's ever had to an actual friend, and he kind of kept him grounded. And it was after he went into went to age up to go to Bendis world that Damian Wayne became a little sociopath that put his enemies in prison and so on and so forth. I'm hoping that will lead to that down the road, but for the time being, he's going to basically separate himself from his father and the Bat family. And if there is an end game to that, I'm okay with that for now.
I'm not. I gotta tell you, man, I am so not. And I came into DC Comics a couple years back, dived in, and I came in as like, who the hell is this This Damian Wayne is stupid. Batman has a son. I was like, this is lame. I came in totally prejudiced on this, but I was 100% sold by Peter Tomasi's portrayal of the character. And I wasn't even reading the Batman. I was reading the Superman books, but Damian would guest star occasionally because of Jonathan Kent. And then of course, I got sold on Super Sons. And I was like, oh wow, this Damian character is deep. Like Tomasi there was so much, depth to this character. He was a brat, and he's got this sort of, how do you say, he's got these like kind of, I watched like Wes's video. I think they were talking about like he's kind of like he's crazy, and I'm like, I don't see that at all. I see that he's like a disturbed child because all he's ever known is being raised by assassins and killing. Like he doesn't have perspective. But Tomasi so brilliantly wrote him when you started reading the Batman comics when Tomasi took over, that like Bruce Wayne was like deprogramming him, and finally this kid had a real father figure in his life. And true to what I accepted and what made it believable to me was like Damian just didn't flip a switch and be like, hey, I'm all good now. Like, you don't do that, right? If you're a troubled kid, you only show very slight changes, but when you would see them, you would see when Damian was trying to do the right thing and overcome, like that made his character, like he made you want to root for him. You're like, yes, those glimpses. And I think if he would have just been like, oh, I'm perfect and good now, I think it would have never worked, and fans would have been like, whatever, dumb. And I know other writers can't do it as well, but I was like, you're on to something, man. Tomasi made Damian lovable. And you're right, without Jonathan Kent, there's definitely feels like there's something missing, but I feel like to abandon him, he's like not Robin anymore. Like that just completely sweeps under the rug all these years of effort that he's been putting into this character. And you're going to push Batman's legitimate son aside, who's troubled and needs a father more than anything. And Batman's going to be like, yo, whatever, just go do your own thing. And I'm going to take this other kid.
We don't know that.
You. And I'm speculating. So anyone who's listening right now, I could be way off base. But this is what this is where my mind is going. And I'm thinking, no, like, first of all, Damian is a minor. Like, he's not even old enough to drive. He's like 14 or something. Or is he even 14? I don't even know if he's that old.
Remember, kids age faster than adults in comics, so I'm guessing he is about 14 now.
Sure. So, but he's not able to just be like, yo, Pops, I'm out. I'm going to go live a life on my own. Like, what?
Well, now he had been doing that because he had been leading the Teen Titans.
That was dumb. like that was the Damien everyone hated.
Right, but again, like I said, the reason why I'm okay with this is because I'm looking into the future a year or so from now, or maybe two, and seeing the reformation of the Super Sons. Because one of the things they've said is, Batman, as much as he wants to be a father to him and a mentor to everybody, he is incredibly busy, and that's part of kind of how that dynamic works. And again, like I said, if there is an end game, I can live with it because I said, for everybody that was just so sick of Rick, of Dickie Boy, of whatever nonsense Tom King started, and everybody else was forced to put Dick Grayson through, he's back.
Well, that's all fine and dandy. I know a lot of people seem to be happy about that. I actually never had a problem. I never was interested in a Nightwing comic until he got shot in the head. And then I started picking up Nightwing. I was like, finally,
Well,
they're going to do
did you
something with
read
this.
the Chuck Dixon Nightwing?
No. I've never been interested. I was never a Robin guy. And Nightwing to me was just, now I'm solo Robin.
But my point is, like I said, that there was, they did resolve that which had, angered a good chunk of the fan base, just like hopefully for you with Damien, there will be a resolution, because I said these characters, I said they're close to immortal, so they're going to go through, trials and tribulations, and hopefully he won't be too unlikable a prick while we're getting there. Hopefully, somebody that can write, because he's going to have to figure prominently in a book because Teen Titans is over.
Yeah, but how do you do? I don't understand how you do Damian Wayne without him being Robin and growing up at his father's side and trying to undo all of the League of all the shit that League of Assassins programmed.
That doesn't necessarily mean that he's going to be completely away from the Bat family. He's just not going to be Robin for now. Now, Tim Drake is about to age out of that character as well. So that mantle's going to be waiting for Damien when he decides to take it back up.
Realistically, though, none of these Robins should be aged out because the New 52 made it so that this is the younger Batman, right? Like these Robins haven't been around for in comic book years more than 5 years. Like,
but I'm saying that Dick and Jason are in their 20s. Tim is in his late teens. Robin is
how are they this see, and this is a problem I think because of the New 52 thing, but Batman is supposed to be in his 20s. Like how is Nightwing in his 20s? How is Nightwing like as old as Batman?
I think, I know what they said. I think that was a mistake, and it was kind of, look, I look at Batman, Bruce Wayne, I look at someone well into his 30s. Now I know New 52 kind of de-aged him a little bit, and for somehow he was a head taller than Dick. But again, I said, we're past New 52, we're years into Rebirth, and
Rebirth is New 52.
But when I look at Bruce Wayne, I see someone in his 30s. I think that's how you're supposed to look at it now. Dick Grayson's in his early, maybe to mid 20s, and again, like I said, younger characters age faster. Unless you're Franklin Richards, until recently. But that's like I said, when you think of Robin, you think of 10 to 16. Hell, Dick Grayson was probably Robin longer than he should have been, but they hadn't thought to move the character on until the mid 80s. When he graduated Nightwing, and then they introduced Jason Todd.
Yeah, the problem with aging these characters is the original characters you can't age. So what's going to happen when all of a sudden like Nightwing has a kid, and then that kid has to grow up, and you're like, why is Batman not aging, but everyone around him is? Like
3 words. Suspension of disbelief.
Yeah, it's bad.
It's handy to employ if you're going to read comics for decades.
Well, DC had the perfect tool. Well, I don't know if it's perfect. It was a working tool with their crises, where they just reset things. And, New 52, for all the things that it did wrong, one of the things I thought it did right was bringing these characters and making them younger again. I know it's weird because I do like the older Superman. I think Superman needs to be that elder kind of fatherly wisdom figure, and being like mid-20s, Boy Scout Superman who's doesn't work for me quite as much. But a lot of the other characters, and having Batman still being young and being able to just reset your universe, and I know I'm gonna piss off, and I speak because I'm like a Marvel fan. I guess that's how I learned comics. But I don't like millions of peripheral characters, right? I know people are like, oh, Stephanie Brown, and I'm like, I could give two shits about Stephanie Brown. I know I'm going to probably annoy someone who's a big fan.
That's it. I'm out of here.
That's right.
Good night, everybody.
I get it. And that's the problem with when you make too many characters, because every character is going to have its fan. And at which point you can't just abandon the character without pissing someone off. And my thing is like, you gotta, every once in a while, you gotta skim the fat off. Like it's over bloated. And I'm sorry, like, I don't mean any disrespect to any Stephanie Brown fans. I don't even know the character. She's just doesn't make the cut. It's like you're a sports guy, it's the NFL every year, right? You start off with a roster of, 100 guys, and you got to eventually pare down that team to, how many slots is it? Like 49, 50? I can't even remember. 53? Yeah, 53 spots. And they got to go. It doesn't mean that the characters, or, those players suck and shouldn't play. It just means they're not in the top 53, And DC, I think, needs to think of that too. It's like, and you can have these characters kind of sit mothballed, and every once in a while bring them back to guest star in a story, just to kind of give them life. But I feel the company, the comic companies, like they feel like they're like too obligated, these characters. Like, and it's like, this is one of the things that's annoyed the shit out of me about the Wonder Comics. It was like, we didn't need to bring these we didn't need Dial H for Hero brought back. Like, DC was already bloated with too many characters that people weren't into, and you're like bringing Dial H for Hero, you're bringing Wonder Twins into the DC universe. You're bringing back the Superboy from the 90s. Why? And of course, and as I say this, I'm sure there's someone listening who's like, that's my favorite character with Superboy. And that's the problem. Like, I just like the DC universe pared down. And, and if you liked those characters, you could go back and read those comics. They're still there. I don't want to have 1,000 different DC characters constantly active and alive in the universe and having to be addressed at all times to try to satisfy everyone, because it makes for too much chaos and nonsense. And then, the characters that should be getting the attention, like we were talking about Damian Wayne and John Kent, get pushed to the side.
Well, actually, John Kent is a major character in Legion of Superheroes, and I wouldn't read him with your eyes in mind because of how he's being presented. Now, you should have liked the New 52 because Stephanie, I believe, was nowhere to be found.
I don't hate her. I don't hate her. I mean, like I said, she doesn't make the cut for me. No, I don't actually.
He called me earlier tonight and said, Eric, I hate Stephanie Brown.
Shut up.
And I said, that's awfully random.
If I remember right, you're like, oh, damn it, Ashley. I'm going to have to get on your show and tell you what's
I said, how dare you? No, I don't have a problem with, using these characters. It's up to the fan base to decide. Now, at least with, the Wonder Twins and, the other ones you mentioned, it wasn't like they were taking any talent away from other books because it was all Bendis. But
that one was Mark Russell.
Well, yeah, close enough. It's from the Bendis family of story killers. Um,
Just whose idea was it to put the Wonder like
I,
seriously?
I'd love to sit here and be argumentative just because that's kind of our thing, but I can't answer that. No one wanted them,
What's in the pitch room? Like, I got a great idea.
and it's gonna be great. We're gonna have like a teenage intergalactic interspecies orgy, and we'll make it all ages. And
Remember back in the day, the Hanna-Barbera cartoon? Remember when they did Super Friends, and they had to introduce those characters, the Wonder Twins, to like for the little kids that watched the show. That's like that was a thing that cartoons did. They always had to have that sort of that linking character that linked the kids to the, like every cartoon did that. They always had some goofballs characters. You remember them? Yeah, we're gonna put them in the comics. Like what? No, no. Oh, geez.
but as far as now getting back to the age thing for a second, if Damien is going to be portrayed as a 13 or 14-year-old, Bruce better be more than in his 20s, because that would have made when he was over, creating him, he would have been Bat Boy.
Well, that's the whole problem, right? With the New 52 is it's like the editors just fell asleep at the wheel.
Yeah, they did, because
editing.
Bruce Wayne is he should be Bruce and Clark, Hal, Barry, they should all be late 30s. Old enough to to have had years
Well, that's what they
of
were
adventures behind, right?
pre-Christ.
Right, and then New 52 kind of reset a lot of those, but I think they kind of meant for Rebirth to kind of make it to where they were a little bit older again without coming right out and saying it.
Yeah, they just
Now,
they just sort of quietly transitioned and
yeah,
was just like, oh, there's no explanation. We hope no one will notice.
um,
I had to have Sergeant Batts explain it to me, because when I got into DC, I was still new. I didn't know anything about. I mean, I knew that the New 52 existed. I knew on the surface kind of what it was supposed to be. I legitimately thought Rebirth was a new reboot from the New 52. I was like, oh, the New 52 is done. They rebooted their universe again. And then he had to explain to me. He's like, no, Ash, it's the same thing. It's those characters. Like, nothing changed. All just Wally West came back. And I was like, what? I was like,
but that I think that set off ripple effects. Now, one thing I never thought I would hear is Bats had to explain it to me.
Bats explained a lot of things to me.
So he's a regular Clarissa.
I am
Hey,
not.
you want to read some comments? I got to step away for like 2 minutes.
Yeah, for sure.
All right.
Let's see. RDV says 321. I think he's trying to hint at something. Dragon Majesty says Stephanie Brown was the fourth Robin and third Batgirl, and that says all all I need to know. DC is not willing to pare down characters because it's an IP farm. It needs to maintain trademarks and copyrights. Hello, Dorigo Duke. I'm not sure I've recognized your name before, so welcome. That's a good comment, and I think I agree with what you're saying. However, I'm not saying like the characters need to just be obliterated. What I'm saying is you don't necessarily need to keep them on the active roster, right? You can keep them on the on the bench, if you will, like using the sporting analogies. Stephanie Roster can be alive in the universe. I don't have or Stephanie Brown can be alive in the universe. I don't have a problem with that. It's just when you always constantly trying to find a place for all these characters to be active all the time, like everything was fine when Tim Drake was just, oh, we haven't heard from Tim Drake in a while. That was all fine. And then Bendis brought him back in his Young Justice book that makes no sense. These characters just appear. They shouldn't exist. Like, it doesn't make any sense. No one's explained anything. They're just, hey, we're here. Hey, Young Justice. And then we're off to the races. Like, there was no story to this. And now it's like, hey, Tim Drake's back. And now he's calling himself Drake instead of Red Robin. Oh, okay, whatever. They're off in space doing stuff. Oh, and I guess now they're back from space, and he no longer is going to call himself Drake, and he's going to go back with Batman? What? And then meanwhile, Damian Wayne is just going to go off on his own thing? Like, nothing, there's nothing that seems to make sense. It's just all shoehorning. And why? You have this established storyline with Damian, and you talk about IP farm. Damian now has to be part of that IP farm, so now you got to keep him alive somehow. Like, you're just juggling too many things at once, and it's not necessary. I think characters can be mothballed. You know, if you want to make a movie or a TV show or an animated thing, it's not like these characters can't be used, right? They just did a Red Sun animated movie, right? That was an Elseworlds book from quite a few years back. That didn't need to be active for them to do it. It's there. And you can bring it out anytime you want. DC kind of just runs into this problem, I feel like, where they got to keep all these characters kind of in the spotlight, and it doesn't feel natural. I guess that's my problem. Like, we need all the Robins to quit being Robin, but yet they want to still be Robin. What? So now Red Hood's doing his thing, Nightwing's doing his thing. Tim Drake was doing his thing. Is he still going to be running off with the Young Justice and part-time with Batman? Is Damian going to be part-time with Batman, the Teen I don't even know. It just feels all chaotic and thrown together.
Are we talking comics or cartoons now?
Oh, it was just Dorigo Duke made a comment about DC not wanting to pare down the characters because of an IP farm, which I agreed. That makes sense, but it doesn't necessarily mean that you constantly have to like devote books and attention to them. You can keep them mothballed. Let's see. Marani says, I hated both sidekick character sets. Wendy and Marv. She's talking about. She's talking about what I was talking about in the cartoons with Wendy and Marvin and Wonder Dog, equally as annoying as Zan, Jaina, and the Gleek. Totally unnecessary, except for plot devices as the heroes to rescue.
Did you see what they did with them in Teen Titans about 10 years or about 12 years ago?
No.
They brought them on as like computer experts that worked in the Teen Titans tower, and the dog turned out to be this demonic monster, and he basically just ate Marvin and ate half of Wendy, and she almost died and became crippled.
Oh wow, that's weird.
Good times.
Maranya makes a really interesting comment here. She says what DC should do is make an anthology book or two maximum that features one-off stories of all the pruned characters. That will satisfy the people who want them, plus keep the line at a manageable level. Kind of like what Marvel used to do with like Marvel Team Up or Marvel Presents, right? You could do something like that, right? You could do a team up type book, and then this is what I was saying they should do with Action Comics. Actually, I was like, I would be okay if Action Comics drifted off not being a Superman centric book.
Well, they tried that, and I think the mistake they made was making it weekly instead of bi-weekly like Marvel Comics Presents.
No, just even monthly. I want all comics to go monthly. I'm not going to go down that rabbit hole tonight, but
with Action Comics Weekly, they were 6 and 8 page stories that kind of served as like an old timey, back in the day when comics actually were 32 pages of actual story. It was kind of like a callback to that. So for that month, you were basically getting the equivalent of that 6 comics worth of story in 4 weeks. But it obviously didn't work because it lasted less than a year.
Yeah, that doesn't work because that's the problem with anthology comics, right? Let's say you have an anthology comic that has 4 different storylines inside. Inevitably, there's the one you like the best and the one you like the least. It's rare that you have an anthology where you're just like gangbusters over all 4 of the stories, right? So if you have a weekly comic that has 4 stories running into it, and each issue is like a quarter of a story, but over the period of a month you get a full issue's worth of story, the reader goes, you know what, story A, just give me the comic of that and I can buy it monthly instead of having to buy 4 issues to get a full comic, and I don't even care about the other 3 stories. That's what inevitably happens with a lot of anthologies, because the quality is just, it's not consistent, and that, at least that's my perspective.
You're not entirely wrong on that, because there was some definite filler material in certainly in Marvel Comics Presents. Action Comics, that was more of a case of, they were trying to serve a need, kind of like what Marani was saying. You're not necessarily going to go support a Wild Dog book, but if he's a feature in an anthology, you may go ahead and just read that with the rest of the stories along for the ride.
Yeah.
Because let's be honest, some characters just are not going to sustain their own title. But I mean, I would like to say, honestly, they used to do that in the 90s when you had Batman, Detective Comics, Robin had his own book, Nightwing had his own book, and they were all actually good. And they branched off into, like I said, the Legends of the Dark Knight, which were stories throughout Batman's history. You had Shadow of the Bat, but you also had like Batman Chronicles that, if I'm not mistaken, featured different characters. And I think that was a sort of an anthology. You could, well, hell, remember, well, if you're as old as me, you remember Batman Family the first time around in the 70s, and that was a good anthology.
Yeah, I'm not saying you can't do good anthologies.
No, so I'd like to see that with you could have the people that like their bad characters could get their fix, and they wouldn't necessarily have to be shoehorned into the main storylines all the time. I think that'd be a nice compromise.
I would like to just see kind of a rotating thing. Like, I think Action Comics could be, you could maybe do Action Comics as a monthly book, do it as like a 32-page book, and have 2 stories in it, a 16-page, both 16 pages. And the one story could be a Superman story, kind of akin to what we're getting right now with the digital first one, that's Man of Tomorrow.
Yeah.
Right? You get a story like that, and then another story that features some B-list character, like the adventures of Stephanie Brown adventure, right? And you could just, and it could be an arc, it could be several issues long until her story is resolved, and then, or you could do a book where it just like a team up, like it crosses over. Like, you could do it all Superman too, if you wanted. You could have, I don't know, maybe that doesn't work because Superman's such a powerful character.
It worked for 97 issues, from the late 70s up to Crisis.
Yeah, it's
DC
just
Comics Presents.
Yeah, it's just tough when you have Superman and Robin. It's like,
well, the trick was making the stories believable, and and for the most part they did. Now, I personally, I would love to see books like The Brave and the Bold come back. DC Comics Presents. We kind of have a facsimile of World's Finest with Batman, Superman. But and I'd like Batman Family. I'd love to see some of those titles come out. Now they tried to revive Adventure Comics, in the early 2006 and 7, and but I don't know at this point if DC will ever be willing to reach back into their past and try some of these things again. But it would be nice to see, because I think, and I know you're not advocating for this, but what I'm afraid DC is going to do, and I've said this before, is it's going to be all Batman, Batman, some Justice League, and their YA stuff. And if what we've seen the last handful of years, their YA stuff is nothing that I would ever care to read.
I don't think anyone cares to read it, honestly. I think the books are bought by moms who think this is a good thing for my kids, and it's just one of those things that get bought and never actually consumed.
In libraries.
And library, library, same things, right? Like some librarians like this will be, and no one, they're just not good. I read the Super Sons one, and I was thinking I'm gonna do a review, I'm gonna do this roast video of it, and it was so bad. And everything, I was like, I don't even have the heart to roast this. It's just atrocious. Like, not even like it's not like in an America Chavez way where you can really have fun with it. It was like, each of those are pretty thick. It's like 150 pages or something of just total meh. Like, just fan fiction. The people writing it don't have any grasp of the characters. I mean, the book was called Super Sons, but it was really about these two girls that kind of somehow latch on to, and it's not even Damian Wayne. It was like some other guy. Like, they changed Damian Wayne to be, he had a different name. And I was like, what? You were just like, what? And then the book started going off on like climate change, and these girls were like, we gotta fight the climate change. And we're like, what's going on? It was like a mystery that the Super Sons are trying to solve. And now they're going to fight.
Well, let's be honest. The entire purpose of these YA books is to indoctrinate
certainly
readers into a far left ideology.
Certainly. I get the intent of why they're published. What I'm saying is, I don't see anyone volunteering to read these because they're just not fun and entertaining. Even for people who believe in the ideology of this, it still has to be entertaining. Like, I use the example all the time for like Christian fiction and movies and things like that. I stay away from that stuff with a 10-foot pole, even though I myself, that's my belief, because it's usually really bad. Like, it's just not done well. And it doesn't matter just because I'm like, oh, I agree with your same beliefs. You still told a story that put me to sleep. Like, so I don't think anyone really, I do think they're selling, because like I said, libraries are picking them up, and I'm sure, some kid was with their mom at Barnes and Noble and they're making a fuss or something. I want something. What do you want? I want this. And then they get it, and then it goes home and it gets done. Never gets read.
Well, yeah. And, but they're going to keep churning that out until we're all gone, and that's all that's left.
Yeah.
Yeah. We just, at this point, have to hope that we still have a handful of years of good stories, and hope against hope that the winds shift and the comic book companies get to go back to telling adventure stories. And I know I'm being silly, but we can at least hope. And I said today at least, or this week at least, there was a handful of DC books that came out. I only had a chance to read 2 of them, but they were both very good.
So Dr. Venkman is getting a little bit of attention deficit going on in the chat here. And so I have a question for you. Is this something about people who stream with England Team that can regularly do 7-hour streams, but then when they come watch my channel, they make fun of me taking too long? Like, what's going on, Eric? Because you're one of those people.
Well, those 7-hour streams you talk about, those are auctions, so that's a technicality. Nah, we're your adoring fans,
right?
And for one thing, Venk, on any other time, I would be right along there with you, trolling the hell out of my buddy Ash. But damn it, I'm here tonight.
Right.
So you mind your P's and Q's. or Mariah's going to send you to the negative zone version of the naughty corner.
This is why I need one of you guys to be on the show, because then it kind of immunizes me from the criticism. RDV says worst bedtime story ever, or lack thereof. Wow, we just got the haterade going on.
Well, yeah. Earlier tonight, he was criticizing, he was besmirching the Kree Skrull War. So
He didn't like it.
no, it's no Robin Hood.
It's no Empire.
Well, even I'm not crazy enough to say that the original is as good as Empire. I mean,
oh man, Dragon Ball is saying you need good topics for long chats. Well, Dragon Ball, I can agree. And it's definitely never my intention to bore anyone with boring topics and chats. I don't get Eric Breen every week or every show.
Well, no, I think he was talking about tonight. Next time we promise to have some.
Right. So when I have someone guest with me to talk, I'm going to devote a little bit more time. Obviously, if I was just by myself and things were going sour, I would just dive right into a book, and we'll be getting into one soon. I just, I don't want to, don't want to rush Eric, off anywhere. But speaking of rushing, I know you're not a big movie guy. Or do you read, are you a book person? Do you read books?
I have been known to read a book or two.
I've read a book. Well, one of my favorite books ever is Dune. Have you ever had a chance to read that book in your life?
I'll tell you, I'm not, when I stray from, the comic book realm, I tend to stay away from anything genre related. I'm more of a, crime mystery fan.
Gotcha.
Yeah. Whether it's, Dashiell Hammett or, to Donald Westlake to, the guy that I can't think of his name right now. It's not like I haven't read, maybe Carl Hyacin, guys like that. Because I figure, and I'm not doing that's science fiction, right?
Yes.
Yeah, and I'm not trying to be glib, honestly. I am not a big science fiction reader. I tried, who was it, L. Ron Hubbard?
Oh yeah.
And it, I'm not a huge science fiction fan in print or on the screen, except for like the cheesy sci-fi movies where you can see the string holding up the spaceship going across the Atom Age thing, type movies. But
so it's interesting that you say that, because I've always thought of comic books, the traditional like superhero comics, as very much, brothers to sci-fi. They may not necessarily be exactly, Avengers is not Star Trek, obviously, but if you're reading Fantastic Four, there's a lot of lost in space, if you will, elements that you can draw some parallels to. I'm assuming you've seen the TV show Lost in Space.
Yeah.
So, I mean, would you agree, or do you think that they're just totally?
Oh no. I'm definitely an outlier when it comes to, I said, I'm probably the only person who's ever read 50,000 comic books, but has never seen an episode of Game of Thrones. I've seen about 2.5 episodes of X-Files. I said, I don't follow a lot of the same characteristics of other people that are into these kind of things. Because I've also, because when I was a little kid, I got into, sports before I got into comics. So I had, I've had a lifelong love of sports, and this just in, they take a lot of time to watch.
Oh, for sure. No, I just find it interesting because I know there's a lot of people who don't like sci-fi or whatever, but those people also tend to not like comic books, right? Because it's it kind of hits the similar type thing. That's just, oh, that's weird and different. Like I like my more real stuff, but you very much like Fantastic Four.
Oh yeah, and I
And
like science fiction. It's just not my go-to thing as far as like, like I said, I mean, I've never read a prose version of a comic book. Like I mean, I've like Greg Rucka did a prose version of No Man's Land, and Roger Stern did one for the Death of Superman. I've never read any of those, and I mean, there's so much stuff out there that I just like I said, when I'm not reading comics, I'm generally if I'm reading another book, it's something Of course, I say that, and there are plenty of crime comics out there, but I tend to, like I said, take a break from the sci-fi / fantasy / superhero elements of my other hobby.
okay, well, be that as it may, I just went way off on a tangent, but I would have done it by myself anyway because that's how I do the weeds. I'm a huge fan of Dune. Well, that is to say, I don't know if I'm a huge fan. I don't have like posters on my walls or anything, but Dune is probably my favorite book I've ever read. It's absolutely phenomenal. I didn't want to read it. I was forced to read it in high school. I took a creative writing class, and the final was based on the book Dune, and I was like, oh god. And I had seen the movie, back in the '80s, the David Lynch movie, and I was just like, this movie's so dull and boring, and now I got to read this damn book, and the book's like 600 pages, and I was, but I had to, so I went home and I was got to do homework, crack that book open, and I just couldn't stop. Like I got like 20 pages in, and I was like, oh shit. Anyways, where I'm going with this is one of my favorite filmmakers. I'm very much even more of a film person than I am a book person. This person named Denis Villeneuve. He's a Spanish director. He did the recent Blade Runner film, which I think is the most overlooked film in maybe my lifetime. It's so good. I can't believe like that movie just sort of came and went, and people are like, whatever. But that just goes to show you the times that we live in. And I heard back when Blade Runner was coming out, that he was wanting to do Dune, which perked my ears up. I was like, what, dude, you're going to do another Dune movie? And after seeing Blade Runner, I just got I was like, if this guy does Dune, it's going to be phenomenal. Anyways, they just released the trailer for Dune. I think it was yesterday. And I got to see it, and I was hoping you might be a person that was interested in wanted to foster some discussion on that, but you're not really into it. So all I'm gonna say is I saw that trailer, and I could not be more stoked. And I've gotten in some discussions. So people were telling me that they weren't interested because it looks like it's woke and the gender swapping, and I'm like, I don't see it. Like I don't. Do we live in a world where we're looking for everything to suck now? Like even when it doesn't, we
Well,
just
it pays in sub counts, but no, I think I said we tend to be way more critical of things now. And part of it, I think, does have to do with the fact that so much entertainment is designed to chase away a certain type of audience and replace it with another type. That like there's a phrase that people have used, say, chasing SJW ghosts, where if I said you can only get hit so many times before you flinch when anybody moves. It's sort of like now, when anything comes out and you hear, like Battlestar Galactica did, gender swaps and stuff, but by all accounts, the show was phenomenal.
yeah. Oh, it's Battlestar Galactica is probably my favorite sci-fi show ever.
But but then you see like another 4 or 5 examples of it where it's simply done. Like I said, I can't help but think that the BBC hired Jodie Whittaker just to own like the people in this chat.
Oh, for sure. I mean, there is.
So, and that's why I think even when it's done organically or for the right reasons, it's almost like you have to take a Missouri approach now, where they have to show you that it's earnest and not, just like I said, surface checkbox. And I said, and sometimes we do tend to go in with fearing the worst and hoping for the best instead of vice versa.
Yeah, I mean, there definitely is woke nonsense being done out there, right? I mean, you hit the nail on the head with was it the 13th Doctor? Is the one the newest Doctor Who? She's they made her a woman, of course. They got the new Star Trek animated show that's completely stupid. Woke. Oh God, it's so terrible. They're definitely doing stuff. I mean, new Star Wars stuff, it's just you can't get away from it. But I feel like we're getting to a point where we've been burned so many times that when we do get what we want, when something is done legitimately well, we don't accept it anyway. And I think that creates a problem where, well, then why expect to get anything delivered for us, right? I say this because this used to be the argument that I would make in the back a couple years ago with Comicsgate. I was like, look, if you're not willing to accept when they make the comics that you want, then what's the point? They should just make SJW comics all the time, because you're just going to bitch and moan no matter what they do. So at least they can make the comics for the crowd that's not bitching and moaning about them, right?
Or buying.
Even if they don't buy as many comics, they're buying some, and you're bitching and moaning. You have to be able to give credit where credit's due, right? You have to be able to stop and be like, okay, yes, you were making some shitty, woke comics, but you stopped, and this comic is legit. Like I did with Daredevil. I was never gonna buy. I wasn't gonna buy any Marvel comics. You remember, Breen? You knew me back then, Breen. And Chip Zdarsky, holy shit! He was one of the leading crazy SJWs. I was like, I'm not gonna buy a Marvel comic, and certainly not from Chip Zdarsky. But then the dude makes a great comic. I have to give him credit where credit's due. I just feel like we need. I don't know if we need to. Everyone does what they want to do. But this movie, I'm a Dune fan. I love that book. I treasure the book. I did not like the sci-fi series movie. I thought it was lame. I know some Dune fans liked it because it was supposed to be more accurate to the book. I thought it was boring as hell. This new trailer has me going goo goo gaga because now I finally get to see what it's going to look like. And I knew it was going to be good because I trust this filmmaker. He's done phenomenal. He did Blade Runner 2049. Before that, he did Arrival, which is a fantastic sci-fi film. And then before that, he did Sicario, which might be more up your alley, Breen, because there's no sci-fi. It's just border dispute stuff with the drug cartels.
Yeah, but they probably won't do it as well as Eric Esquivel and
Oh man. All right. Anyways, I saw it. I was like, people are getting upset because they made Chani dark skin. They cast what's her name, Mary Jane Watson. Zendaya is her name, the actress. Oh, and I'm like, it's a desert planet. People in the desert. Have you ever been to the desert parts of the world? They have dark skin. Why is this a thing? Well, I don't get it. But I'm not gonna beleaguer this point. Dr. Venkman is getting really uppity, and I think we should read some comics. What do you think?
Well, I think it probably is that time, which also means it's time for me to assume my rightful spot in the chat for a few minutes and then fall asleep. Because as it was pointed out, I am excessively old.
Nah.
Thank you, Venkman. But before I go, I do want to just off topic for a second. That we all know what today is, and just everybody take a moment to never forget.
Well, it's not that day yet here.
That's because you're on the left coast, which probably has purged 9/11 from its existence anyway. But
I want everyone to remember this too. On 9/11, everyone remembers the two towers, but this is something that we should also never forget was the other 9/11, which was Benghazi. And Chris Stevens, Ambassador Chris Stevens, and the two operatives that gave their lives to protect him, and there was like an assistant, all died because Hillary Clinton called down the military, who was only 30 minutes away in Italy, and they were ready to go rescue them, and they fought for 13 hours to defend a secret CIA weapons cache that was presumably, allegedly, giving missile or weapons, not missiles, I don't know what kind of weapons to Al-Qaeda, which was an enemy, which would have been, of course, treasonous for the Obama administration, and that had to be protected, so we could not send the military in there to expose this operation, so we let them die. Those reasonings are all my own. Of course, can't prove that, but needless to say, good Americans died, and they didn't need to. And so remember, there's two 9/11s when you're remembering this kind of hallowed day.
Well said. And on that note, Ash, thank you for letting me come on and spend the opening part of story time.
Oh, anytime, man. You are always welcome. I would invite Dr. Venkman, but he apparently doesn't like to talk this long, so he wouldn't want to come on anyway.
Another phrase I never thought I would hear.
I like Venkman. He just
no, that Venkman doesn't like to talk that long.
Oh, I guess I could just give him the mic and I could go read a comic. That'd be interesting. RDV says Ash doesn't read comments. I read some comments. I read less comments when I have a guest on that I can interact with. So I apologize if I haven't read everyone's comments out loud. I am trying to read them. But to be fair, Venkman, most of your comments are kind of rude to me. Hurts my feelings.
Yeah. So take that, you. Anyway, thanks again. Have a good story time, and we will talk again soon.
Yes, we will. Thank you, sir. And we'll get into reading some Bendis.
Right.
This is what you guys all came here for.
Good night, kids.
Let's give it up for Eric Breen. Yay! Claps. All right. I'm not going to clap in the mic. Let's see. I thought I had it all set up, ready to go. Look at that. I'm prepared. Not keeping Venkman waiting any longer. This is Ultimate Spider-Man. Issue 2. Previously in Ultimate Spider-Man. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 paragraphs for one comic. I think there's more description in these paragraphs than actually what happened in the comic. Good Lord. Whatever. Moving on. Wait, am I reading the right one? This is the wrong one again. Can't have that. I almost did the wrong one again. Stand by. Wait, or was that the right one? Was that the right one? Eric, correct me. Or Venkman, someone tell me. Oh, I know what I can do. Issue info. This is the 2009. Okay, so that's the wrong one. Damn it. This is stupid Marvel. Ultimate Spider-Man #1. Do, 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 do. That's right. Power and responsibility. And we were... Normally I have this all set to read, but I'm a dipshit. Venkman's got me all discombobulated, unsettled. It's making me feel insecure. Yeah, Eric said, you got him rattled. I'm rattled. Here we go. Here we go. This is what you all been waiting for Marvel's Ultimate Spider-Man, the legendary Brian Michael Bendis, with a cover here that's a photo. This just drew a Spider-Man on a photo. Oh, good God. And here we go. Oh, I should probably do full page. Boom, boom. There we go. What happened to my Spider-Man book? Sorry, let's try that again. Take 2. Here we go. In 1930, the Republicans controlled the House of Representatives in an effort to elevate the effects of the... Anyone? The Great Depression. Passed the... Anyone? The Tariff Bill. The Smoot-Hawley Tariff Act. Anyone? Raised or lowered? Raised tariffs in order to collect more revenue for the federal government. Anyone know the effects? It did not work, and the United States government sank deeper into the Great Depression. Today we have a similar debate over this. Anyone? Anyone know what this is? Anyone seen this before? The Laffer Act? Anyone know what this says? It says that at this point on the revenue curve, you will get exactly the same amount of revenue as this point. This is very controversial. Does anyone know what the Vice President Bush called this in 1980? Anyone? Something... DOO economics? Voodoo economics? Growing pains. Crack. Parker. Oh, oh my God. Are you the hugest spazoid? And for my next trick, I shall actually trip while sitting down. Hey, how about you shut that stupid face of yours or I'll shut it for you. Huh? Oh man, did he just... No. Okay. That's quite enough, Peter. Please. Just go cool off and see if you can't find another desk. Man, he is constantly entertaining. That's about enough, Thompson. Yo, he almost kicked your butt. Guys, I know. I'm so very frightened. That's it, Thompson. Detention. What? Why? What did I do? What the heck is wrong with me now? I mean, one minute I'm climbing walls and the next minute I'm doing the spaz dance. But now I feel great. Totally great. But all this from one spider bite? There's got to be more to it. There's got to be. Got to be someone I can talk to without being locked away in a freak farm. Aunt May's head will just shoot right off her body. I should talk to someone. A doctor, maybe. Maybe I'm dying. But I can't be. I feel great. And Now, where'd this come from? Well, glad all that practicing is paying off, Michael. Next. Oh, great. Parker. Somebody call Guinness. I give you credit, Parker. You always show up no matter how futile the gesture. Let's go. Come on, so... Yeah, I know there's more going on in there, Brainy Jane. I've been checking you out. Parker, please, while I still have a will to live. Have you? Well, do me a favor and... Grr. Why does Flash Thompson have a bowl haircut? I don't... Smack! Oh! Why is my phone going off right in the middle of a stream? Don't people know I'm streaming? Good Lord. It's probably Eric Breen texting me. Just kidding. He didn't ever text me. It's probably Venkman. Just kidding me. He doesn't text me either. All right, back to the show. Whoa there, Parker. What the? Ow. Keep your hands off her, Thompson. Just leave her alone. Are you out of your mind, Parker? I will squash you like a... Flash, get out of here. Hit the showers. You're done. He hit me. I'll deal with it. Hit the showers, Thompson. 3 o'clock is only 1 hour away. Really? What's 5 plus 4? 1 hour. This sucks, man. I didn't do anything. Well, Parker, looks like you can throw when you want to. Sorry, Mary. That wasn't... Peter, thanks. Ugh. Come on, Flash, bring the pain. What's gotten into you, Parker, huh? What did I say? I said I don't want to fight. Gotta get up in my business? Beat his butt. Ugh. I'm serious, Flash. I don't want to fight you. Well, you should have thought about that before you... Crick. Ah. Oh, God. Oh, no. Oh, my hand. I told him. I said I didn't want to fight. Ah. Yo, you should have seen it. Flash is all ready to break out the can on Parker, and what happens? Parker breaks his hands. Wait, what? Parker breaks Flash's hand. Parker breaks Flash's hand? He just broke it and said, what'd he say? Next time I'm gonna kill you. He said that? Yeah, said it was payback time and all that. Wow, broke his hand. Yeah, it was all mangled like this. Dude went to the ER. Guess he's out of the league. No doubt, unless he can learn to dribble with his nose. Wow, Peter beat up Flash. Laid the smack down. Huh. That guy is like scary alien freak, man. Who? Parker. First, what? Like he doesn't say 2 words all year. Nothing. Just all in full geek mode, right? Then all of a sudden he's all breaking his desk in half. Then he's all up in our face. Then he's all smacking Flash down. You guys should lay off him anyhow. I always said it. Yeah, you did. Harry, come here. Harry, are you friends with that Parker kid? The one who had the accident on the field trip? With the spider? Yeah. We do science together. Lab partners. But, Dad, you know his family they can't afford to buy a new spider or... No. I want you to bring the boy to the lab after school tomorrow. I feel bad for what happened, and I thought I'd make it up to him. give him a personal tour. Do you think he'd like that? Are you kidding me? Oh, yeah. He'd love that. Yeah. Good. See you kids after school. Okay. Well, yes. I'm sorry you feel that way about it. Well, that's too bad. Well, the way I heard it, it's that your boy has been picking on Peter for some time, and he was just defending him. No, I don't. No, Great. What now? $2,500 hospital bill, and if we don't... What? If we don't pay for it, they're going to sue us. Are you kidding? Sue? Oh my God. What are we going to do? What can we do? Let a lawyer bleed us dry on top of paying the bill? Or just pay the bill? But, May, he broke the kid's hand. What can I do? Peter, this is not the way you were raised. This is not how human beings behave. What are you talking about? I was defending. I just don't understand. You broke his hand? What am I supposed to do? I am so sick of being picked on all the time. For once I defend myself, and what do I get from you? I get a lecture? Peter, that's not what we taught you to. Yeah, I know what you taught me. You taught me to be a wimpy loser like you two. Growing pains. That's all it is, May. That was horrible. He's a kid, and he had a traumatic day. And he came home lashing out at him when we were really mad at those two Thompsons who, by the way, I would like to light on fire. What are we going to do? Do we have the money? Do we have it? May, we don't. No, we don't. Put it on a card? We have to, but that's it. I mean, we are maxed out. I should go up there. Let the kid be. He didn't mean it. The boy adores you. Oh, honey, I know. Ah! Crash. I am Hercules. I love that freaking spider. Well, I don't know what the hell is being said here. I hate when they do the curse symbols. Just say the freaking curse word or don't put it in the damn comic. Was he saying fuck it? I don't know. Fuck it. What's this? Morning. Listen, Yes, Mr. Mouth? I feel really bad about what I said. Well, I should say so. May. And I know that I was wrong to say it, and I don't think you're losers, and I'm really, really sorry, and I know better, and it's okay, Peter. Come here. Peter, you're not wearing your glasses. Oh, yeah. I guess I left them upstairs. Osborne Industries, working towards your future. I'm serious, Harry. I totally want to work in a place just like this. You would. I would. I know. So what are we doing here? Like I said, my dad felt bad about the whole spider thing, and he knows you're really getting off on this stuff, so he said, come on down. That's pretty solid of him. It's amazingly solid of him. I mean, for him. Yo, Doc Ock. This here is Dr. Otto Octavius. Doc Ock? Dr. Octavius. He's a big brain around here. Very big brain. Scary big. I hear you're quite the talent in the science arts. Oh, well, that's, hey, I wouldn't mind having one of those 9640s. Oh, you don't want that. It's an old one. Can I have it when you throw it out? Hey, Darlene, where you been? Waiting for you to hit puberty, Junior. What? How could you say that? I did that earlier in the week. Peter, I heard about the unfortunate accident with the arachnid experiment. I hope that you haven't had any odd side effects, dizziness, drowsy. Well, there has been a little. What are all the animals for, anyway? We check the blood work for reactions. Reactions? Just simple blood work. Have you ever had your blood taken, Peter? Oh, yeah, you know, physicals. Well, why don't we take some of yours and I can show you what we do here? No, that's okay. I'd like to keep mine all in its original container. Hey, what are you doing? Hey! What the heck is wrong with you? Just taking a sample. What happened? What was this? Like an ambush or what happened? Peter, what's going on? Peter? What I am saying is that the deterioration effects we... hit the starting over. What I am saying is that the deterioration effects we witness in the first Parker sample have, in layman terms, reversed themselves. Meaning the boy is a healthy specimen, if not healthier. His metabolism is somewhat akin to, let's say, that of a long-distance runner or an Olympic-level athlete. But what will happen as his condition progresses? Oh, and his condition has stabilized. His blood count is normal. Stabilized. I would really like to spend more time with the subject, Mr. Osborne. I have a series of tests that... Thank you, Doctor. Have a good night. Should I call Shaw back to finish the job? No. No? No. His parents, the school. Too many people to put two and two together, an autopsy to deal with. There's a trial. It's not a smart move now. You want to bring him in for more tests? That is admission that there's something to test. No. We need to repeat the accident. Repeat on a human? Match the situation, specimen. Control the experiment. Pull up my file, please. Huh. That's interesting. Well, the best thing I can say for is not terrible. I read a Bendis comic and it wasn't terrible. Nah, I've done that before. I guess that's just me being snarky. Curious what you guys thought about that. Most of you probably in the chat have read this before, so it's not anything new to you. but I'm still curious all the same. Let me see if I left. Let's see. Lord says he needs all the help he can get. All right. I guess Lord is here to jump on the dog pile? I don't know. Let's see. With great power comes great responsibility. Worst thing I heard. Someone doesn't like Spider-Man, apparently. RDV says Ash is Englantine when it comes to comicsology. I don't know. I don't even know what that's supposed to mean. Zach Richmond says that guy looks like Ben Stein. Bueller. Let's see. Hey, Jimmy's ears were bleeding. He says, Bendis. If you read Bendis, Jimmy will come. Welcome, Jimmy. Let's see. Lord says, what a baby. That is gossip power. I don't even know what was being referred to in these comments. Uncle Ben 2000. I want to light the Thompsons on fire. Damn it. The first 100 are fantastic. It's the ash pile. Okay. Dragon says, it starts a little slow, but after the first 6, it really starts humming. That's what Eric said. And I was like, so I'm going to read the ones that aren't good. So inevitably, no matter how many Bendis comics I read, until I read them all, there's always going to be that elusive one. It's like, well, did you read the one that he did this? And I'll be like, all right, I gotta read all the Bendis. Let's see. Doug Johnson says, so that was the good one? That's apparently the good Ultimate Spider-Man. The other Ultimate Spider-Man I read apparently is the bad Ultimate Spider-Man, or the less good. I don't know. I don't know why there's multiple Ultimate Spider-Mans. Dragon says, just go to number 7. No, we gotta start with number 1. This is what I'm reading. Well, issues 1 through 6. You guys can read more. It's not my job to read every comic to you. I mean, I appreciate you being here and enjoying it, but the idea is hopefully if I read something good, then you'll, continue it on your own. Like, it's like I'm here to just be the training wheels. And then eventually I let go and you're off on your own. Free as a bird. Not going to lie, Ash, and I'm going to be deep. My depression has been hitting me hard the past couple days, and this has been some of the only light. Good issue. Good Bendis. Well, I'm glad that you have some light in your life, even if it is Brian Michael Bendis, whatever it is that floats your boat. I didn't hate this issue, honestly. The only critique I have really of these Ultimates, now the 2 issues I've read, is I'm still failing to understand what's the point. Like, I'm like, this is just a retelling of the Spider-Man story, but just not as well. I'm not seeing anything special about doing it. Now obviously Miles Morales, which will come later down the road, that's introducing a new character, so there's a reason. But this is Peter Parker. He's becoming Spider-Man. Some of the things are a little bit different. Ben's still alive. Okay, whatever. Hey, it's just, why? I mean, when I watch, say, like the movie Homecoming, right? I appreciate it for what it is. Like, I know it makes a ton of radical changes to the Spider-Man lore, but it's a movie. Like, it's a different, I accept it, but as a comic book, I'm like, if you're going to do another comic and you're going to make these changes, I don't understand why. I'm not really sold. So we got 4 more issues to go. We'll see how they go. I got to say, I've never read as much Bendis with so little words. Like, there's quite a few scenes in this book, just like last issue, where just be tons of panels of silence. And I'm like, wow, where did this Bendis go? It's been a long time. So that was kind of interesting. yeah, like I'm not hating it. I'm curious to see how it goes. There's a reason I'm reading it. Um, like I said before, this is, people always say when you ask Bendis fans or defenders or whoever, like, what is, if you're gonna pick one Bendis to read, like, what's the best thing that he's known for? It's either Daredevil or this. And so I was like, all right, I'll go straight to the source and read the good stuff and see. So we'll see how it goes. Moving on for tonight is an RDV. That's real Dr. Venkman, except no substitutions. This is a suggestion of his. This is something that's been on my radar for quite a long time. I just never pulled the trigger. And he kind of convinced me to pull the trigger. And so this one's devoted to him, even though he makes fun of me all the time and makes me feel bad about myself. But he doesn't care. First issue was pretty interesting, so I'm very curious to see where this goes. Hopefully you guys got to be with us for that issue, so you're not totally lost. And I am going to, let's see, let's double check the RDV says, once he gets monetized, we can pay him to read the comics to us. Hey, I don't need to be monetized. I've said before, if you want to donate comics to me, you can gift comics on Comixology. I'm more than happy to do that too. I just have a limited selection because I have the Comixology Unlimited. I even take suggestions on the Unlimited. I know, Venkman, you're kind of new to the channel. You don't really watch it, so you haven't heard me say this the past dozen times. But yeah, if there's something that's good that's on Comixology Unlimited, I will take that in consideration. Or if you want to donate some books, you can do that through Comixology as well. Or if I just happen to own them, there are some books I own. Let's see. Ronnie says, this version of Spidey reminds me of the Adventures line version somewhat. This was Bendis 20 years ago, says Jimmy. Let's see. There's some conversation going on in the background that I'm not following. Something about a game. Something Jimmy didn't like. I don't know. But I'll let that go. I'm going to get into issue 2 of Lazarus. As soon as I take a drink, I need to wet the palate. All right, here we go. The world now lies divided amongst political or geographic boundaries, but amongst Take 2. The world now lies divided not amongst political or geographic boundaries, but amongst financial ones. Wealth is power, and that power rests now only with a handful of families. The few who provide a service to their ruling family are cared for and protected. All others are waste. Forever Carlyle is the Lazarus of the Carlyle family, genetically engineered to be absolutely loyal and faithful to the Carlyle name, created to act as the sword and the shield to her family. Following an attack on Carlyle Holdings by the Murray family, Forever's father, Malcolm, the Carlyle patriarch, has summoned his children to the family estate outside of Seattle. The question, shall Carlyle go to war with Moray? Family, Part 2. Puget Sound, Family, Carlyle. Forever, I got your regiment laid out. Population, family, 6. 2 permanent. I'll take them later. No. You'll take them now, little sister. What have James and I told you about messing with your maintenance schedule? I hate it when you call it that. Makes me feel like a machine. Come here. Let's take a look at you. No residual pain? No, Beth. Problems breathing? Soreness? No, Beth. Pain in motion? No, Beth. Dizziness? Any oral discomfort? Tinnitus? Like that? No, Beth. Get dressed. Pills are on the dresser. Father wants you in the study in 5 minutes for your report. There's nothing to discuss, Stephen. Murray attacked us in our territory. We're already at war with them, whatever Father wants to acknowledge it or not. We'll see what he says. You really don't have a thought in your head if you haven't run past the old man first, do you, Steve? Fuck you, Jonah. You think I don't know what you and Jonah are up to in L.A.? And I mean everything you two are up to? You say another word and I will break your fucking neck. That's enough. I don't know what it's about and I don't care. We have serious matters to discuss and I will not have my sons acting like they're 6 instead of 60. Am I understood? Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Where is your sister? Forever will be here short, not the Lazarus. Johanna. Where is she, Jonah? She thought she should stay at the Palisades residence, sir. In case Moray tried to start anything with the waste. You tell her that the next time I call a family meeting, it includes her. Unless she no longer wishes to be Carlisle. Where the hell is Eve? Here, Father. Good. Good girl. All of you, give your little sister your attention. At 03:22 hours yesterday morning, at Moray Strike Team assaulted Harvest 1. They evaded early warning systems and breached the compound before an alarm could be raised. Sergeant Orioso mustered a defense and repelled the assault. Their objective was the seed vaults. Carlisle losses, our losses were substantial. Please continue, Forever. Yes, sir. This man, Samuel Rosales, confessed to disabling security and claimed he was an agent of the family Moray. Following his execution for treason, his belongings were confiscated and the lodgings where he lived with his daughter, one of the staff researchers, searched. I can find no evidence as to how he was recruited by Moray, nor how he communicated with them. Thank you, Forever. Thoughts? What do we know about the daughter? Katie Rosales. Born early 30s, tested in 42, scored high for technical aptitude and mean intelligence. Subsequently lifted and sent for education at Stanford, trained in biotechnology, specifically agricultural genetics. Assigned to Harvest 1 last year. Nothing else of note, no reprimands, no cautions, and no indications of subversive leanings. Stanford. That's why I know the name. We broke off trade with Moray 5 years ago, and the word of their harvests have suffered ever since, and that they're having trouble controlling their waste. It's certainly plausible they would go after our seeds. Not plausible, Steve. It's certain. Their soil is fallow. It's fucking dead without our strains to grow in it. Look, we know who did it and why they did it. The only question is what we're going to do in response. And what do you think we should do, Jonah? Go to war. All of you, leave. Forever remain. You don't believe Samuel Rosales' confession, do you? No, sir. Yet you executed him for treason. Why'd you do that? Forever. I asked you a question, young lady. I didn't want to. But you did it, and I want to know why. Did it feel good? Did you like it? Did you want to see him bleed? Did it make you feel strong, killing an unarmed old man? I had to. Treason means death. Jonah made me. He was going to execute everyone if I didn't get a confession. Oh, Jonah. You foolish boy. Five children, and only one of them is worth a damn. Come here, Eve. There's something your father needs you to do for your family. How long is he going to be in there with him? Well, how long is she going to be in there with him? Jealous? This is family business. She shouldn't even be in there. She's not even his real daughter. She's just... You shut your fucking mouth, Jonah. You don't say it. You don't even think it anywhere she could possibly hear. Do you know what happens if she learns what she really is? The questions she'll start to ask? So she learns the truth and she goes bugfuck crazy. Big deal. We put her down. And then you and James play hide the pipette for a while and make us another one. I'll fucking kill you. Ugh. She grabs him by the balls. You miserable little abortion. You malignant piece of shit. Ah, crazy bitch, let go. I will flay you open. I will. Let me up. Let me drain every worthless drop of your blood. Beth, knock it off. Crazy little. Keep her away from me. What do you want? I'm sorry, sir, your mother. Get out! Take your hands off me, Stephen. I told you to get out, you fetid. Father wants to speak with you in the study, Stephen. Bethany, he says you're free to get back to your work with Dr. Mann, or if you're needed at the university, whichever you desire. I'm to accompany you back to Los Angeles. We're to leave immediately. Wait, with me? What, does this mean he's decided? We're going to war against Moray? We're to leave immediately. Los Angeles. Family, Carlisle. Population, family, 3, 2 permanent. You should have repaired more after the earthquake. Population surf, 322,274. Population waste, 2.8 million estimated. Your domain looks like a war zone, Jonah. We rebuilt what the family needs. There's no point in wasting resources on waste who can't appreciate it. What did you and Father talk about? He asked me to do something for our family. Joanna? I'm in the bath. Do my back. Why is she here, Jonah? I don't know, and she won't tell me. What do you mean she won't? She doesn't have a choice. It's in her fucking genes to do what we want. Father must have ordered her not to tell anyone, even other family. I don't like that. He asked why you weren't at the meeting. I told him you were worried about security following the Moray attack. He didn't believe you. No. He said you couldn't be bothered. If that's what the old fool thinks of me, fine. Forever is the problem right now, not him. We're going to need to keep an eye on her. Find out why the little perversion is here. How much she knows, if Father is suspicious. Shh, Joe. I've got Mason watching her. And it's all under control. Oh, no. Oh, no, no, no. Where'd you go, you bitch? Mason, if you keep following me, I'm going to kill you. Nice. Sonoran Desert, Mexico. Family, Moray. Population, family, 1. Your father is very stupid or very bold. Population serf, 36. To send his Lazarus to us like this. It doesn't really matter. You are now a prisoner of the family Moray. Forever. Huh. Interesting. A little decompressed in the storytelling, but some nice world building. Some afterward stuff that I'll not read, but I'll just kind of put up here in case you have any inclination to pause the screen now or later and read it yourself. I know Venkman likes to read while I talk, so maybe this will give him... Well, he's already read all this stuff. What am I doing? Jesus, God, Greg Rucka, how much stuff are you going to put at the end of your book? Oh, it just never fucking ends. Oh, there you go. Family Part 3, next issue. Forever gets reacquainted with Joaquim, the Moray Lazarus, while the twins read the writing on the wall and plot a murder or two. All right. Very good. I liked it. It was solid, but not exceptional. Like it a little decompressed for my taste. I like it. I think this is definitely something that's written for the trade. Like reviewing it as just a single comic issue, I'd be a little bit annoyed if I was buying this monthly and like that's the story I got for the month and I had to wait a whole nother month, and I'm like, really? But bundling it all into one trade, this is definitely written like as a graphic novel that's been chopped up into pieces. That's going to be your own cup of tea. I don't necessarily agree with that approach, but hey, now we're getting to read it at a much faster time frame. So there you go. I got to select something to return so I can let's get rid of that piece of shit. And let's get rid of that. Because Comixology will only let you have so many books checked out with your unlimited. Because that makes sense. Okay, get out the full screen. And we are now in the wrap-up mode. Real Dr. Venkman can finally catch some Z's. He's been waiting. I've been keeping him up all night. Let's see what I've been doing wrong. Go up there. Scroll up. Let's see. Dun, dun, dun. I must be talking about some comics that Eric recommended, Jimmy. I don't know what's going on, so I'm going to skip that. Dragon Ball Talk says, just checking back in, I couldn't do Ultimates. Any random Englantine auction book is way better story. All right. Let's see. Dragon Majesty says, I bet it's pronounced Ev, like in forever, not Eve. Maybe, but it's written as Eve. So, right? You know what I'm saying? Like, not all, like nicknames like that, like shortened names, match exactly. You know, like Lisa, right, is short for Elizabeth. Like, you don't. Some people will call them, nickname Liz, but a lot of times Lisa. It's not Elizabeth. I guess it could be. So I don't know. I don't know. I'm just gonna read it as Eve because, in my mind, if it should have been pronounced Ev, then they should have just done it like that, Evie. I will make sure the future auctions are all Ultimate Spider-Man just for you, DB. No. My favorite Ultimate is Ultimatum They Die. Ultimate Universe had a crap ton of good books, says Jimmy. RDV says agreed. I really want to read the actual, just the Ultimates, the original series that Mark Millar did. I've heard that's really good, and I like Mark Millar. Dragon Ball says, read all Marvel from 1970 1999, then say Ultimate was good. You won't be able to because those were good. Ultimate ain't. Well, I mean, Dragon Ball's making a good argument, making a solid argument, but are you saying, Dragon Ball, that even the Mark Millar, like just the first Ultimates book, wasn't good? Because Mark Millar is a pretty talented writer. Let's see. Fresh Comic Stories channel got the Ultimate videos. I don't know what that's all about. Greg Rucka could fill 3 comic books with all the words he uses here. I don't really feel like he was being really wordy, per se. I just feel like there was a lot of panels, right? Like, not much was happening. It was just like, hey, we're sitting here and having a discussion, and it'll be like 3 pages of panels of just talking and going on, and it really just decompressed. The story didn't really move on. And that's a kind of a trope of modern writing. You get a lot of just dialogue and conversation, where some of like older comics, traditional comics, you would just get to the point. The idea was just to understand the motives of the characters, and then get on to the adventure. And nowadays it's just like, let's have a whole comic where we just sit around and talk and talk and talk and talk and talk, and it's sometimes it's a little overindulgent. Now, this book it's not pissing me off. Like, I'm not bored with the book, and like I said, if you can binge it, I'm okay with it. I just look at this as like a single comic, and like if I just bought this as a comic, that's not the way for me. Like, I feel like I wouldn't have gotten very much story out of that issue, and then have to wait a whole another month to get more, and another $3.99, by the way. This is, Dragon says the original Ultimates run of 13 issues by Millar is great. All right, well, I have that in my list, and my good bud next door, whose opinion I really trust, says the same thing. Ronnie says, decent comic book. Lazarus still reminds me of Highland's Friday. I want to see more. Ultimates with Hickman is fantastic too. Hickman and even dare say Dan Slott were great back in the day. Jimmy says gasp. Hickman, like that's mimicking what I was just doing. Dan Slott? What? I haven't read Friday. Maranya, should I? Is that a good book? What it's reminding me of actually a lot is Blade Runner. Especially Blade Runner 2049. I don't know if you guys got to see that movie, which is, I recommend if you've seen Blade Runner, because it's a sequel. It stands by itself, but it really plays off the story of the first movie. So anyways, the world building and this whole like desolate future, just I think it just feels like, and I like that though. I was a big sucker for Blade Runner. Let's see. Yes, read Friday by Heinlein. I second it. All right. We'll put that on my mental checklist of books to read one day. I have so many. I'm currently reading The Way of Kings by Brandon Sanderson, which is like probably the biggest book I might have ever read. Like it's ginormous. I think I'll be reading this for years. I got to power through it. Technically I'm listening to it on Audible, but whatever. It's good. Brandon Sanderson. If you have not read Brandon Sanderson, I highly recommend it. And if you like comic books, if you like superhero stories and stuff like that, start with his Reckoner series. It's a really cool take on a super hero universe. That's quite original. It's very, very well plotted with interesting characters. It will keep you guessing. Great reveals. You'll like these characters, and each book is slightly different, so you don't just keep getting like rehashes. Like, and he's probably one of the most, how do I say this? His writing feels like the most planned out writing of any writer I think I've ever read. His stories, man, when you're done, you just reflect back and realize that every chapter in that book contributed to what he was doing to tell the story, and either put a red herring and twist, to misdirect you, or to do things like it's so amazing how well planned out his books are. And then you think like, oh, okay, I got you. I know, I see what your tricks are. So you read the next book and you expect he's just going to follow the same sort of formula. Nope. You're just like, what? And I love that he's able to make each book feel like its own thing. And then by the end of the trilogy, you get not just an ending of the final book, but you get an ending of the whole trilogy. It just, I could go on. I'm going to read those books again. They're so fun. Let's see. RDV says with K questioning, I don't know, you're saying forever does the same. Quirk says read Bad Weekend or Pulp by Brubaker. Breen and Skip recommended them to me, and it made me sad because I will never be that good at writing. Why do you say that? Like, everyone has to start somewhere. I'm sure Brubaker didn't come out of the womb and just was an amazing writer. It probably took years and years of work. So, let's see. Maranya says, absolutely read Friday. You will see the parallels between it and Lazarus when you do. Just remember, a beanstalk is a space elevator for Heinlein Friday. Oh, I know what a beanstalk is. I'm a little bit versed in the cyberpunk lore stuff. Is Friday a cyberpunk book? That'll be really cool if it is. I like cyberpunk. I'm really looking forward to the cyberpunk game. That's what I want for my birthday. Kind of comes out like right around the same day too, or real close. If Nick Spencer can get a writing gig at Marvel, so can you. Keep your chin up, Jimmy. Do that. That is true. I would bet already, Jimmy, that you could write better than some of the people at Marvel. So. Oh man. The one of the keys though is never think you're good enough. The writers that suck, every writer I've read, well, I don't say that. It's very common if it writers, sorry, every writer that I've read that thinks they're good enough is shitty. The best writers are the ones that feel like they're not good enough and that they constantly can improve and they constantly have other people they can learn from and they're constantly reading other people's work and trying to learn like what these people do better than they do. So just always strive and write for yourself, you know, realize that no matter how good of a writer you are, there's going to be people that don't like it. Right. And no matter how bad of a writer you are, there will be people that tell you it's good. So ultimately what matters is if you like it. Yeah, I don't know. I'm going to get all melancholy here. I want to watch Dead Like Me because of that Waffle House comment, Breen. I don't know what that means. Anyone want to go to Waffle House for breakfast? Dude, they don't have Waffle Houses out here. I moved back to California. No more Waffle Houses. I'm sad. I really want the hash browns all the way and a waffle. Damn. Anyways, all right. So that's in for tonight. It is now 9/11. Never forget what happened. Don't forget there's 2 9/11s. Yeah. Hopefully you guys are reading good comics. Hopefully I was able to bring you some sort of entertainment tonight. Hopefully help you fall asleep and have sweet dreams. And let me know what kind of comments you're reading in not the comments here, but you know, the main things and on my comic call videos. I'm about to hit 700 subscribers. I don't know if I can tip that scale. That'd be pretty cool if I did. Like the stream if you liked it. Hit a thumbs down if you didn't like it. That sort of stuff. And I really appreciate you being here, even if you're here to give me shit. I guess it's better than not being here at all. So thank you for your eyes and ears. And hopefully we all had some fun. Looking forward to the next episode, which will be on Sunday. For those of you like Dr. Venkman who are kind of new to the show, don't ever watch. It's Sundays, Tuesdays, and Thursdays. 10 p.m. Pacific. That's 11 p.m. Mountain. 12 p.m. Central or 1 a.m. Eastern time for those of you who are time zone challenged. And Ronnie says, hugs for quirks. Hang in there, little brother. Eric Breen says, good night, kids. Jimmy says he's going to read some Superman Earth 1 to cheer him up. Why? I hope that does. I am going to go read Oblivion Song because the new issue I haven't read yet. And I'm going to read some Hawkman. And I already did read Firepower. That book is so fun. I'm so glad I'm on that book. Man, I'm reading 4 Robert Kirkman books. Is it 4? 1, 2, 3 Robert Kirkman books. Yeah, three books out of my pull are Robert Kirkman. The dude, and they're all radically different. That guy is amazing. So I'll talk later on that another time. Breen, thanks for making it this far. Thank you for guesting on my show tonight.